Hello, Billy the Artist here, back with another how to draw video. Today we are doing Billie Eilish. Anyway, these are the last three that we've done. We did a comic book illustration of Joe Wicks, the body coach, on is April the 3rd, Fancy Dress Friday, because it was just great being able to do him as a superhero, as Spider-Man. Then we have a couple of the Harry Potter characters. We have Professor Severus Snape and Draco Malfoy. All you guys and girls who've been asking for them for a long time and been waiting patiently while I've been doing my oil paintings, thank you very much. They're the first two. I am aiming to do at least one Harry Potter character for you every week amongst all the other how to draw videos that I'm doing while people are at home. And before we did these, we did have how to draw a toilet roll, how to draw a zombie with a zombie pencil. That's a pencil with no name and no grade. We had no idea what it was. And the thing, how to draw the thing that means all you lot are homeschooling and enjoying drawing amongst the other things that you are doing now. But we are going to crack on with Billie Eilish. So I shall just move those out of the way very carefully. Now, here we have the grid. Now you can see just lightly on there. Now I do kind of do it a bit darker. This probably isn't as dark as it is on some of the others, but you can still see it. This is a 2 centimeter grid. Check the banner down there, and that's got all the markings for everything across the top. And if you check in the cards, there is a link to a video where I show you how to lay down this grid to help you. Makes it very, very simple. These are 2 centimeter squares and it will help you. Now I'm going to use shapes and put them in, but these help to guide. I want to demystify drawing totally and just make it as simple and as enjoyable as possible for you guys and girls, because I just want you to enjoy drawing. And it's amazing what you can do if you are shown the basic techniques that build you up and help you to develop the skills to do a full portrait. Now again, I will be using the trusty 2B pencil. I will also be using a 4B, maybe an 8B, but maybe a 2H as well, and that's the lighter one. Again, there is a video in the how to draw playlist about the grades of pencils that I use, just a basics overview. It's only about 19-20 minutes. Check out the how to draw playlist. Now I will be using shapes again. Look at the banner and it shows you how to draw anything. Part 1 shows you how you can draw anything from a bird, a bee, a flea, a tree, a horse, a house, or anything else. That's what I say in that video, and that was put up about 5 years ago, and it's helped so many people. So again, check that out. There are over 100 lessons in my how to draw playlist. Enjoy them. Lots of characters to help you draw it, and there is the dedicated Harry Potter characters playlist. But anyway, we are now going to get on and draw Billie Eilish. So we're going to start and we're going to use shapes. Now these grids across the top, they're 5 millimeters in and then 20 millimeters each one across. The center line is 105 and 125 down the side here. So we can see we've got this start point. Now I'm just going to draw Billie Eilish's eye. I'm just going to draw a little rectangle in from the 105 to 125 off the 125 line. Now again, go over a couple of squares and we've got a little rectangle here. Now I'm drawing these on quite dark, you don't have to. Now you could draw a triangle on top and then another triangle, and that's Billie Eilish's top eyelid and then her eyebrow going up. And here we want a nice rectangle going for that eyebrow. Now we want a rectangle kind of shape for the nose. Just, well, it's kind of, it's a J there. We've just got a J, but imagine a full rectangle, and that's Billie Eilish's nose. Now on the 185 underneath here, I'm just going to draw a rectangle for Billie Eilish's lips. I'm going to put a thinner line across the top for the top lip. Now her chin is kind of coming down, so I'm putting a little rectangle there across those, and we've got a diagonal line that's going up. Really, it's a big kind of triangle that's kind of going all across the page, but we'll put that in a moment. So coming down from underneath her eye, we want a straight line down and then that diagonal going over. And then here from a chin, going down to where her necklaces are, we've got, and those necklaces will be fun, but we will deal with them quite quickly and presently. So you can see coming up to the nose, the line where her nose is, you've just got a triangle. So I'll put a triangle in there as well. Just making these boxes a little bit lighter. I'm using the side of the pencil because rather than dabbing in with the point, it's a bit softer. Now here we want, again, I am just up above the 65 line into the centre. I am just putting a nice big rectangle for a forehead. And now we want a little triangle. That's for the hair there. And then a rectangle will come down to above her top lip. And then we want the shoulder. Coming off the 185 line, we've got a little diagonal line there for a shoulder. Now again, on this side, coming right off the 205, we just want a little diagonal line going up. And then we can just draw a straight line. So just imagine a big box going all the way up. But we've got this incredible shape, but we don't want to draw the line too far. So we're only going to go up to like the 105. And then we want to diagonal line kind of going over to the 45, where the 45 crosses with the 45 as well. And now we're going to do another line going up to the top. In fact, before I do that, here, so now we've got a diagonal where her hair comes down from a parting, which is on the 145 line. We've got a hair coming down, and we've got this incredible box shape for all of a head. So there I've just drawn a great big rectangle shape. Again, we've got the light of a hair, so I'm just separating that off. But you can see it goes from the 45, but we've got a simple curve. So we'll just put that basic curve in. Now curve the shape around. Now again, from the 85 we've got the top, and I'm just curving that line around for the shape of Billie Eilish's head. Now we want the hair coming down, and we've got the side of a cheek that comes down, and we just want like a nice, the front of a big capital D. Now we've got all of these chains. Now all of these chains, if you just think very, very simple shapes, so down on the 265 line down here, starting from off the vertical, off the 65, you've got the chain that says Billie on it. So that's where I'm starting with that rectangle. And then you've got the little legs sticking down. Again, another little rectangle. The chain right at the bottom. So I'm doing a rectangle across. Now again, coming up, we've got all the chains. I'm just doing shapes, long rectangle. And another one underneath. And another one. And that line. So you just got those simple lines, and these will be your guides. So again, coming up into this square diagonally, got a little rectangle for the chain going there, and this one above, redirect that one, then this one above comes all the way down to the bottom, and then coming up to a chin on the edge, so we've got the chin line there, we've got a long line coming down. So just imagine a very long, like the kind of thickness of your pencil, and the same next to it. Now we've got, from coming underneath the chin, we've got this kind of disc with ellipses on, but we're just going to draw in the simple reference points. And you've got the 245 to 85 cross point, that's your reference point on there, going up to under the chin. Just curve it slightly, coming around, and follow that curved line around. and then we've got another 2 underneath. 1, 2, another one coming down, and then where her neckline is, dead on the 225 line here, we've got it just curved. So just draw a simple smile type curve that comes around. And they will be the chains. So there, very quickly, we have a kind of cubist face that helps us to actually plot and place everything. I'm just finishing off drawing that line down. But it's given us basic shapes to place absolutely everything in for Billie's eyes. Her entire face, her portrait. Now we're going to start. I'm going to start detailing up, and I'm going to start with the eyes and then work around from the face. Now I'm going to get just a blank piece of paper to rest my hand on so that I don't smudge it. So you don't want your hand resting down. Again, if you check out the portraits playlist on my YouTube channel, you will actually see me. I've got a clear plastic bridge that sits over the full art that I do, and that allows you to see through. And I made that just so that you could actually see the work in progress. But now, so we're going to start with this right eye, and we're going to start just detailing the curtains up. The curtains, the hair that falls like curtains around her forehead and over her eyes. So we're going to pull that up, and it goes up through 3 of the squares, diagonally, comes down, and then cuts through. Now that's the reference point where Billie's eye is going to come to. So we can see that the corner of a tear duct is right on the 125 line. Now that then curves up and over, and you've got that little box that you put in that gives you all the space that you need. Now the bottom of her eye is about 1/3, so if you just kind of, you can just mark a couple of little points if you want, or just figure it out. So the bottom of her eyeball, like the top of her bottom eyelid, curves up on about 1/3, and then you've got the curve going underneath where her eyelashes are, and then you've got the fold underneath the bottom of her bottom eyelid, and you can just lightly indicate some eyelashes for now. Now a tear duct is right in the corner, and that's just a very simple little triangle. Now she's kind of looking up underneath her eye, and we can just darken that down a little bit, just indicating some little lines up for the eyelashes on Billie's top eye. And the bottom of her iris, you can see you've got a little bit of white space, and that curves, so you just want this circle. So imagine like you've got the full circle of her eyeball there, and you can see how it comes through about the centre of the actual square, just to the left of the centre. So we're just curving that down and around, and then we want to indicate her eyeball, build the dark up. Now I'm filling in, and it's a bit lighter, so you've got a little highlight, so I'm not pressing on as hard, and then darker going around to where her hair falls down. Now dead centre, we've got the folds coming over of the top inner eye socket of her top eyelid, and that kind of curves down and curves round. Now because we are all homeschooling and everyone's working from home right now, the second one just goes underneath. There may be some ambient noise in the background. I don't know if this is being picked up on my narration, but we've got all kinds of things. So not only are the birds tweeting as normal, we've got people doing DIY because they're at home because of the virus. Anyway, I hope it isn't picked up too much by the microphone. We're doing our best to keep the settings good. Now her eyebrow that is above comes over right into the centre, and you've got that rectangle that goes up, and her eyebrow is above there. Now I'm drawing in just some diagonal lines in the direction of her eyebrows that go over. So there you've got, quite quickly, Billie Eilish's right eye down on the paper, ready to go. Onto the left eye. Now the left eye is inside. You've got the bridge of Billie's nose that comes down, and then you've got a little triangle here and another one coming underneath. That's the bottom of her nose, and then we've got another simple little shape. So if you just curve round, let's get a nose, just the outline of a nose in, and you've got the right nostril that curves up, touches the line, and then comes down to about 2/3 of the way across the square. Then you've got the underneath part of a nose that comes right down underneath. That curves off into this triangle that you've just made. Again, about 1/3 of the way in. And then the nose just curves round a little bit and then starts to go up. And so now we want this nice curve. We've got the shape of her eyebrow going up over to kind of past the halfway point in the 165 square, and we just want to follow the shape of the top of her eyebrow down and curve it around to it where it joins on her nose at the top. Now the dark of her eyebrow underneath, and that curves down. Now her right eye, like as this one just goes up above the line, is all underneath, so you've got the kind of angle of Billie's eyes not level, just slightly down. So what we want, where we've got this rectangle, we can see that Billie's eye is about halfway. That's where the rectangle is that we put. So we've got that curve coming around, and it comes up, and you can just see how the corner of a tear duct is just slightly lower there, and that's where we can curve down to the bottom of her eyeball, the inner ledge of her bottom eyelid, and it's just outside, and it curves right up to meet the top eyelid. Now the top eyelid goes from here, curves, and it's just underneath this reference line, and that is the 125 line. So I've put my numbers by my lines down there. That's how you can check out where you are on your page. It's a bit like the old game called Battleships, where you had A to E, I think it is, and 1 to 8 down the side. A to H, something like that. A to H? Might be H. Anyway, but you use like a B4 and C3 and things like that. So it's not just a simple curve. But that's how I use these reference points. That's what you do. And when you develop your skills enough to not need the grid, you'll put the shapes down. And that's what portrait artists do. Great portrait artists, where you see their underdrawing. Now again, I'm demystifying drawing. Anyone who doesn't use a grid and you don't see them actually laying down the beginning bits, they're either using a projector, or they are tracing, or they are working it all out and then rubbing everything out and not telling you. I say, I am telling you the techniques, how to get it down. I want to demystify it to let you know how to do the work. And there are brilliant portrait painters who do paint from life, but the majority of people will either project it, do an overlay trace and trace it down, or they will use a grid. That's literally what they do, especially these people who classed as like hyper-real artists. Now again, it's not just a round curve, it just kind of curves up a little bit and then curves over slowly. So you got up from the tear duct and then it curves over. And it's a little bit darker, but it's below that line there. Again, I'm just going to indicate a few of her eyelashes. And we've got the edge of her eyeball comes right the way up inside there. And you've got the edge of her head, the side of her cheek that comes up to the side of her socket. And it also shows the inner edge of her bottom eyelid. So that curves around and follows the bottom line that you put in. Again, I keep turning, my pencil's getting a little bit blunt, hang on. That's my lovely electric pencil sharpener. So I'm going to bring this line down a little bit. But it just brings a nice point up completely. I used to use a rotary pencil sharpener, but that electric one is fantastic. It's called Jacquard or Jacquard. So now her actual eyeball inside, you can see, comes to inside the line, curves down, it's above the bottom, and we've got this really nice circular shape for the edge of her iris. That's quite dark. Now, I'm just taking my time with this because the eyes are important, you know, kind of gateway to the soul and all of that, amazing, you know, but eyes are very, very special. Now, a pupil is right underneath the eyelid, and we've got a large amount of space, and you've got a little bit of a highlight, so I'm just leaving a little slither of blank paper, just filling in the dark. Then you've got the shadow caused by the eyelid underneath, and then she's got quite nice light bit coming round to the edge. Now we want the fold above of the top eyelid, and that follows the line. In fact, we want to bring a nose line from the top of her nose to the corner of her eye socket. So I'm just going to raise out a little bit, and then we want to bring up the curve. It goes to about a third. And then it curves down right to the edge. So there, very quickly, you've got Billie Eilish's eyes in place. So now we're going to fill in the rest of the shape of her face and her cheek. So we're going to go up, and the side of her eyebrow comes past the halfway point, and we want just a nice little curve to join the side of the eye. Now here, this one, where it joins with the hair, it goes straight up, and it is about on the centre of that square, and that curves up, and then we want the diagonal going over where you've got your construction line right up to just the halfway point where Billie's parting is. Now what we need to do is increase that, because I didn't go high enough for this line. So again, this is why you do your basic construction. The top of the head is here, and that's then coming down to there. But this is why you do all your preparatory work beforehand. That's better. So if I just erase that out quickly, that line, there we have the top of Billie Eilish's head a little bit better. And that's why you do this beginning work. It gives you the freedom to get your proportions in and correct little bits and pieces. So we want the top of a parting then comes up here, goes through that line, top of a parting, the top of a head to the back and round the edge. Now the hair is coming down through that square, right the way down the side. Now it's about a third of the way in. I'm going to bring it all the way down to where it curves there. And we've just got these bits that just click out on the side. Now we're coming down and doing Billie's cheek. Billie with an I, drawn by Billie with a Y. It's just great. I hope you're enjoying this, because this is good fun. And she's got such incredible angular features. And so you can see her cheek comes down and then just cuts across. Again, it cuts across and goes halfway. Very, very lovely features to draw. It comes across to about a third to a quarter, about a quarter here. You've got this diagonal line for a cheek. And then that just kicks out. You can see this little triangle here. So that curves down and then just kicks out. And then you get this fantastic curve down for a chin, and a chin is just below halfway down this line. And you just want this, it's kind of like a very stretched S. And so I'm following down very carefully, and it comes through the centre here, and then curves for the bottom of a chin. And a chin curves around, and then goes up just past the halfway point on that side, cuts across, and it's below your reference line. Like I say, your reference line that you put in, the shapes are just to guide, and then that goes up inside that corner for a cheek. Now we're going to do Billie's lips. Like I say, we had these shapes on first, and we can point a bit like up here. Should have gone do, you know, when do as Billie does in one of her tracks. Now laying a drawing down is where you get things right. Now drawing is about progressing and growing. It will never be perfect. There's always something more that you can learn and that you can develop. So it is about learning skills and techniques to grow as an artist. And so I think it's Bob Ross here. It's like, oh, they aren't mistakes, they're happy accidents. I remember other artists teaching me this when I was younger, learning drawing and painting. But it's about growing and developing your techniques to actually work and get better and better at drawing. It takes a long time. I've now been drawing for over 40 years. And I'm still learning and still loving the actual process of drawing just with a pencil. I love these, especially the Faber-Castell pencils. They are my favourite, that I've used for years and years and years. And so I just love the process of actually drawing and developing art. So now, we're now back in. We're going to do Billie's lips. We put these boxes in for all of the shape of the lips, and you see it kind of comes out the side. That doesn't matter. We were just putting shapes in to start giving us reference points. And you can see here that actually the corner of her mouth is further over than the edge of the box that we actually had in. Now I put these lines on, again, darker, so that you can see them. You can put them on lighter. Just get a piece of paper and practice. I use a 2B for most of my work, but for if you want it really light so as it's not obstructive when you start putting the darker on, you can use a HB or a 2H. It's up to you. Experiment, try things out, find what works for you. It's a joy to just help you develop. So a top lip here now, we can see is right on this corner line of 145 and 185. And basically a top lip is a triangle. We've got a triangle shape there, so I'm now increasing it, and this is what you can do. It just builds up. A bottom lip is the same. We can do a triangle. You can actually look at it, it's like a heart. It's like a long heart shape. So if we draw the triangle line up there, what we can do is you can see there is a heart shape there going all the way round for Billie's lips. But this bottom one curves out much fuller and further than just following the shape and the line. And that's where you've got to look. Your observation is critical for your drawing. And the bottom lip is inside the edge of a cheek that comes down here, going down to a chin. So we can draw that down. It curves across the bottom and then kicks up and goes to the corner. Now we've got the centre of ellipse there, just a tiny little V, and then that line then curves around. In fact, that's a little bit higher. I'm going to do the top lip first. I'm just going to erase that out. And I'm using my putty rubber, just dabbing that off carefully. So we can see we've got the corner of the top lip, and then you've got this M that goes over a very slight M. The centre is about there, just past the centre of this 2 centimetre square, and that curves and goes to the edge, and then that lip a little bit higher curves over and then comes down and then goes under. Now that's better. It's a little bit higher than that original line that we put in from the construction lines. And so the corner of her lip comes down, and then we can just put the slight curve in to the centre, little V there, and then this curves around, and it then just kind of just wobbles down and then goes up to the corner of a lip, the corner of a mouth. Now the lines in your lips are curved, just I'm indicating some simple little curves, and then from the centre you've got again the lines of a lip going up, and we will fill in with the shading presently. Now going to really detail up the edge of a nose. So again, I'm now going to take off a little bit of that pencil. You see the point of a nose, just so as when it comes for the shading in a little bit. Oh god, there we go, just take that off. And we need it to come down. It's got quite a point on a nose, and that curves down, and then you want the under part of a nose really comes down where you've got that shadow shape at the back. And you can see it's you've got like quite an angular D, but that's the shape of a nose, and you only get it by looking, observing, and then putting your lines on as you build the drawing up. So you can see we're getting the decent outline down now of Billie's face. All of the main details are in. Now we need, and this is more shadow, so I am doing this lightly. We've got the edge of a lip, and you've got the centerpiece above a lip, and that curves down. So I'm now just going to lightly erase those little construction lines that were there. We'll get rid of all the rest in a bit, but just so as you can see, it's just that little bit clean. Now we need to put the edge of Billie's hair all the way in and down. So that curves down, comes down right to the edge. Now from this cheek here, just nice simple curve, there's that kind of highlight in her hair. Now the edge of a parting, of Billie's parting, goes there, and then this curves from the top and comes right through that corner, that cross point of those two reference lines, comes down, and here you can see we've got a V, and then a couple of more dark lines, just very, very long thin V's, and that's the hair that's going to be going up. So you can see where the hair comes, and when you're actually doing hair, we will get to that in a few minutes time, you follow the direction of the hair. So I'm just going to indicate where hair's starting to come away from a parting, coming down. Now we've got a very dark line there, and then we've got this very light part, like we did the V's there, you know, just a long line there of the where the green bleached parts are. I'm just indicating where the bleaching is on Billie's hair at the top. Again, on this side it's just above the eyebrow, so below there is all going to be dark. Now we've got the shape coming down the back and the side of Billie's head, down this side and down the side of her cheek. So here we've got an S. You can just see there's an S of hair, and that flows and comes down, and the same on these sides, hair. So again, I'm just very quickly indicating it all in, and now we've got, I'm just going to sharpen my pencil again. It's getting a bit smaller, you can see how it just kind of fits in my hand, but you can get these pencil extenders which gives you a lot more use out of your pencil, and that's what I use. It's still just usable at the moment as it is for me, but when I sharpen it again another 1 or 2 times, I will be using that pencil extender, and you can get them from most online art stores and your local art store if you still have one. As I've mentioned in other videos, I don't have any anymore. So now we've got quite a lot of detail down here. Now I'm just using a normal 2B pencil. You can use, again, if you check out the pencils video that I've done, you can use little mechanical pencils and you get a consistent line, but I'm just going to use these to show you what you can do with normal pencils. You'll see me in my full portrait actually using the mechanical pencils quite a lot because they're great for consistency and very fine detail. So now we have, and I'm going to start with Billie's brooch on the or the name on the necklace, the pendant kind of thing. So here we can see it actually comes about 2/3 of the way across inside this rectangle that we put in, and we've got a line coming over, and then there's a heart, little heart, just to the side of the 85 line. So there I'm putting the heart in, and you've got the line that comes round, and then it just curves, little kind of scroll curl, and then we've got the same on this side, little scroll, and that goes all the way over and then slightly curves up. Now we've got Billie's name, and the B kind of comes halfway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just drawing, and it's italicized, little boxes where each of the letters are going to go in. So there's the I, there's the first L, there's the second L, there's the I. It's kind of lost in the highlight now, and then we've got the E. And so now I can do the actual B inside this parallelogram that I've got going off. So you've got the body of the B coming down the back of the B, and then it curves at the top, and then we want the curve of the bottom, and then you've got this kind of flourish behind at the back, just a nice, like a C that flourishes off the back of the B. And for the I, you want the little dot above, and it's italicized, so you just kind of put the nice curve on for the I, and the L, just curve it round. The same for the next one. And you've got the kind of ridged bit inside. Curve it up to meet the second L, bring that down, and then that curves up to meet the I. And then we want the E. Curves down underneath. And then we've got just shapes that we're going to indicate. Now we've got a kind of little arm there, so we've got this figure that comes down in this rectangle, and the right leg comes quite far down. The top of the legs is about the centre line. Got a little mark coming off behind. Now above we've got this one with ovals. And we've got the guidelines that we actually put in. So I'm going to draw the ovals. There's the first, and it kind of comes to about a third. The second one covers the next third. The third one crosses the 105 centre line. And these are just simple little oval ellipses. The next one goes up, and you choose your reference points. Yeah, that should actually, again, I'm going to erase that out a little bit, because this is where you should use your reference points. This one has got to come up halfway, but you choose the shapes that give you really good reference points. That's better. And then we've got the edge of that second one. Now in this square above Billie we've got another one, and that kind of comes across to halfway. And then we've got one that's kind of underneath a bit of hair, so just indicate the hair. And then you want little circles in the end and just a little rectangle, and that's the connecting rings. So you've got a little circle, connecting ring, little circle, connecting ring, little circle there, connecting ring going over, little circle. Again, you're just indicating with shapes. So we've now got one that comes up across this diagonal. So we've got another nice curve, connecting ring, circle, connecting ring, circle. And then right underneath the chin, we've got the final one. And you can see how those shapes are now going to act as your guide for all the other necklace parts. Now again, the clutch pencil, I've just sharpened my pencil again, the clutch pencil will keep your point perfect, whether it's a 0.5 or a 0.3, and that's what I would use if I was doing this on an actual full drawing. But I'm just using these normal pencils. Now, because we've got these oval shapes of that big chunky one in, we can now build the others up and around. So we know from the top we've got this kind of smile coming round. There's our actual line, it comes down just underneath that centre point there. And we can do a second line underneath. Now, these have just got little regular shapes, so if you just put a little mark each side, then you've got that kind of square shape of that necklace. This next necklace, you can see, joins, goes kind of right the way up to the corner, but comes out above this ellipse on the centre line, and then it curves around and comes under. And you've already got some construction lines on. Now, I'm doing this really quickly, so I'm going for the impression, and when it's all in, you'll see it actually works. If you want to get it absolutely bang on, you can. That's an absolute joy that you can do with art. You can spend as long as you want. So now I'm indicating, you can even count how many squares there are here. I'm just indicating them at regular intervals, going all the way across. Then we want, coming over the top of these, we've got another one that comes around and then kicks up and joins that one there. So you do another line underneath of the same gap, and then just put the lines to make the squares at regular intervals again. And then you've got one underneath that that starts and curves on the centre of this square here. Again, I'm just indicating her necklace, and you can see it's just building up and you're getting more and more detail. Now, this is a kind of big chunky link, glitzy necklace. I can't actually remember what the name is for these kind of links, but you can find out. But basically, it's like herringbone, you know, it all follows on. But if you just imagine them as big diagonal capital C's or chevrons, I mean, you can see there are, I've just done the one right on that line. You've then got three here, so one, just divide it into three. There's the diagonal, and then you want that going down. Three, and then we've got another one that goes there, and that goes off underneath the chin. So here we've got to bring that one down, and then there's another one that will go underneath the hair. And you've just put the chevron shapes in very quickly and simply. And here we've got a little bit of a wiggly shape over the top, which is fine. And then we've got more chains coming down. So we've got one coming up between Billie, well, one and there's a little one hidden underneath. But again, just chunky chains. But if you look at them, they're just literally little rectangles, and that's how you can put the shapes in. So you can see coming off above the L, we've got the first rectangle. And we can follow the lines up, and that goes up here to this oval here. And that goes up and joins underneath that one. So we've got that first one in, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just slightly stagger them. And that's how they go up, and then you've got one above, and then they kind of hide and disappear underneath the necklace. And then you've got ones next to them. And you can see how they do flow out over. And just follow the shape and the direction. And they kind of double up and go right the way up to a chin up there. And then we've got, coming off the edge of the Billie brooch and the pendant, we've got again like a D shape there, and we want to do that all the way up, and so there's another 2 there. That one crosses over the line, and then we've got another one, and you've got to really look and just concentrate to get these shapes in correctly. And then we've got another one there, and then another one goes up to there. You're just building up this big chunky necklace. So you can see it's getting quite detailed already. So I'm going to just sharpen my pencil because this detail is really taking up a lot of the tip of my pencil, but that's absolutely fine. Again, you guys, when you're drawing, you can do as much detail as you want. Now I can see that there is an ellipse underneath the hair here. So there's the connector in a little circle. And there is just a kind of curve on the edge here. I'm just putting a little bit of a mark in. But now we're going to do, down by the side of the 1, 2, 5 line, we've got this incredible, because we've just come up here and done these, we've got this really solid, chunky necklace. And it just curves and touches the line. Now again, we've got the construction lines in, but now we're making it more detailed, and then it comes over and comes down there. Now it's to about 1/3, so I'm bringing that down there. So on this line here it's about 1/3. Now I'm going to just gently erase the centre out, and you can see that in this section over from Billie, the Billie brooch pendant on a necklace, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 links in this square, and they're kind of like S's on the side. So if you just put a line in the middle and then another one there and another one there, so you've split it into 4, and then just simply draw an S, bottom of an S. And it'll help you actually put the shape in. So now I'm going to start at the top on. And there is the link. Now the one underneath comes down, curves over, and then the same, just keep doing the same shape, the same kind of S shape coming down. I'm actually indicating a little bit of the darkening so you can see, and that's where those links will actually be, and we need to just replicate that all the way down and then all the way up underneath the chin. And there are 4 in each one. Again, because they're so regular, so you've got 4 above, you've got one pretty much dead on the line there, and then there's 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 going down again. So we can bring that down over. You got the one dead on the link, and then we've got 4, so we need line in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we need to curve that down. You've got the line going over. And then the kind of S. Now it's much bigger on this side. Now curve that up and over. And then the same there. And then we've got 1, 2. Now, if we bring that up, we've got 4 coming up into this square. So again, we want there's that S, and again we want to bring that one up. It's going to be darker when we actually shade this in. And there's that S, and then we've got a couple more links to go. That's going right up underneath the chin, covered by a hair. Then we've got a number of chains down by the side. Now I'm just turning my pencil around as I was doing them, just to keep the line, the tip, actually sharp. So we know that that's going to be black. And then here we've got a bit of a gap. But we've got this construction line already, and we can bring this line all the way down. And you've got a little bit of a curve. If you can hear squawking in the background, my neighbours do have chickens, so they always make that kind of noise. I don't know how much is actually being picked up on the microphone, but that's the joys of kind of living in a semi-rural area. So now, on those lines that we just put in, I'm now just indicating, like we did on these, just little squares coming down. To give the impression, now going up, of the links on those chains. Now these completely cover, and that goes all the way up. And again, you're giving an impression. So there you can see, even though I've not rushed or I've not taken a lot of time to do it absolutely dead on, because I'm just trying to do this. This is going to be a 2.5 hour video anyway, to 3 hours, because it's a full portrait. But these chains make it quite complex. Now again, you're just indicating and being impressionistic if you're doing a quick sketch, so you just need to put the actual indications down. Sharpen my point again. Now we've got these final few to do. Now again, these are ovals, so again you can see here, if we just put an oval shape in, got one there, and then we've got another one underneath, and then we want another one there, and then a thinner connecting oval. We can put some kind of little connector in, and this is just like a giant link chain. So now we've got another oval there, another one, and this is again, this is going to come up and join underneath here. We've got 1, 2, then we want an oval on that line, thinner one connecting, thinner one connecting, and then one going up underneath. And as we come over right down the bottom, we need a thinner oval there, wider oval, a couple of little marks in between. Now here, this is like a reverse capital D, like kind of backwards. And then we want a thin connecting bar, oval. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm just whacking them in quick because these are going to be dark. Now we've got quite a good large one here that we can see. And that comes over to about there. And then you've got a couple of D's inside. Then you've got the connecting ring. And then you got the larger one underneath again. Connecting ring, smaller one, that comes off. Then we've got on this edge 1, 2, 3, 4, just a few lines, and then we want the little marks again to indicate the links. And then we've got this final one here that starts up in this corner on your construction lines and comes down to this corner here. So again, we can just see, and you can look in the squares help you with your reference points to place your ovals. So there's 1, there's 2, then we've got another 2 in, so you want kind of in the center, just a bit higher, and then another one there. I'm going to do the one right at the bottom, and you can just put the little link ones in between, a couple of little lines in each of the ovals before you put the links in. And then that's got a link right next to the chain, and then you've got another oval right next to the chain, a couple of little lines inside, another link going up, oval in the dark, and then a link going up. So now I'm just detailing up that edge, coming down to a chin, and we can now darken hair up, coming down over the top and the back. I'm now going to just indicate some darker lines right around the back because we've got the actual shapes in. Now that took a little bit longer because of all of these chains. So there you've got the grid actually helping to put Billie Eilish in, to actually get your work, your foundation lines down, and this is the whole point with drawing and painting. Your foundation is the most important part. So again, here we want to just indicate that hair going over. And even though you can see my grid lines, if you put them on very, very lightly, it's easier to rub them out afterwards. So now, like I say, I'm just quickly indicating some hair. So there we've got the line with the actual face down with all the lines. Now I'm going to rub out a load of my construction lines in the grids. As many as I can, anyway. So I'm using, this is a Stettler Mars Plastique, and again, in the pencils overview video that I did, I show all the different rubbers that I've kind of used, and there are so many. Now, again, I am just going to use a smaller piece of paper to actually hold this paper, because I've only got little bits of masking tape holding it in the corners. And it means I won't put grease on the paper, on my actual drawing paper, while I'm rubbing out, because grease will hold the graphite and it'll make it have like little dark splodges, and sometimes you just can't avoid that happening for any number of reasons. And again, if you blow like that, you can actually end up spitting on your picture. So again, I'm just erasing these out as carefully as I can. I just rub out a little bit round the edge, and sometimes, like I say, even then, just cleaning the rubber off, I've got so much graphite on the edge of the rubber that I actually smudged some around rather than actually rub some off, and that's what you just need to be careful with. So now I'm going to press on and hold the page quite hard. So now I'm going to put that down. So again, you can blow, but you actually might just notice, I say, just spread the graphite around. You might actually spit on your paper. Again, so I just get a big brush and I can then brush this down and just clean it off. And I'm collecting it on a piece of paper just off so it doesn't all go on the floor, and then that goes in my bin. Again, because you have to hoover up, you can get these bits of spent eraser can end up anywhere. So now I'm going to go in a little bit more detailed, because I've got this kind of pen Mars Plastique eraser, and it just allows me to go into the tighter areas. I'm using that piece of paper to get rid of these construction lines, but I use this piece of paper to stop me from smudging the actual art. And then I can get really close. And a Mars Plastique you can actually press on a lot harder. A putty rubber, you might not get the same kind of pressure and application. So where your hair is going to be dark, I'm not too concerned about that. Now there's only a little bit there. Now, just go back with pencil, just sharpen some of these lines up that have just lightly been erased. Again, I didn't. Here we've got the lower eyelid of Billie Eilish's eye. So I'm just following the curve round a little bit and indicating some of her eyelashes. So it's like even there I've noticed I've left a couple of construction lines. That's from a box that I drew in. So I can just take that off. Fill in a little bit of her eyebrow again before we start shading in. But there you have the full outline of Billie Eilish. Now we're going to start shading in. Now again, I do leave, sometimes it's quite arty to leave some of the construction lines in, but I'm just going to dab a little bit. Oh, putty rubber's falling apart. And again, you have to keep kneading this and folding it, but I'm just using this to slightly lighten off the grids around the edge, just so it looks a bit arty really, because it's being slightly rubbed out. Now let's just curve that part of her nose back on, and there you have a complete outline of Billie Eilish ready to be shaded in. That's next. Now I'm going to take a 2H pencil as we start the shading. Just going to clean that off a little bit. So there's just some little there we go. Little tiny marks that I want to remove. Now you can see all across Billie's face we have fairly direct light, and we've got a shadow down this side of her nose and just underneath her lips, but it's actually quite full on, and the shadow underneath her top eyebrows. Now it's very front on light, not strong. Oh, excuse me, crumb on my clacker. There we go, just had a cup of tea and a biscuit. So anyway, I am back at it, and hopefully the crumb from the biscuit won't stop. So I'm going to use a 2H pencil because this is all over. We've got highlights here and here on the nose, which is where we're going to let the paper, well, not just let the paper show through, but we'll use the putty rubber to erase off, or a rubber. Now you can, when you shade, leave white showing through if there's large areas. Now again, I'm using the side of this 2H pencil, and I'm not turning it, so it'll kind of flatten down, but it will fill. And I'm holding it right at the end, just going backwards and forwards, very gently but very quickly. Now, because Billie is so fair-skinned, it kind of looks almost as if you don't need to fill this tone in, but it will make a difference. You could just do the shadows on the actual drawing. So you could just do the shadows around the eyes and by the nose. But then when you put all the dark in around her hair, that will then show up, especially if you've got really white paper. I say I use this Daler Rowney yellow and red cartridge pad, smooth cartridge pad. But I know that some cartridge pads, this kind of got a cream tone to it, but some cartridge pads are very, very white. But just like these Faber-Castell pencils, I've used this particular pad of paper for now 30 years. And you just get used to using certain materials and certain papers, and finding something different and new is exciting, but can also be a shock and a challenge. So that's why I like using the same materials. So I'm using this pencil because I just like the way it works. And in the graphite pencils overview, I talk about like the different makes, and you've seen me use blue ones, the Stettler pencils, and there's also Rexel Derwent, and there are other makes of pencil, but you just get used to using certain ones. So again, because I've filled in all of that tone and I've not twisted the pencil at all, it's gone down as quite a good flat tone. Now you can use the 2B pencil and get quite a light tone with it, but purely because Billie is so fair skinned, I thought I'd come in and use the 2H pencil straight away. And so now with that, you can actually smooth it down using some kitchen roll, but I don't think I'll need to. You can actually smooth the tone of the pencil down and use kitchen roll as a drawing tool. I'm now filling in the hair. So now again, the tone on a hair is very light. So this is the green tone in the hair. Now purely putting the tone in, I'm going the same way as I did filling the face in, because it's so light. But when I add the details, I will go in the same direction. And we also, I'm just indicating little bits, I'm just going over some of these chains just randomly, because it's a nice smooth low tone. From the 2H, very faint tone, not a dark one, and so that'll give me the effect that I'm after. Now just get a little bit of kitchen roll. This is completely clean, it's new, so I'm folding up and I'm just going to gently smudge, very gently, in the direction of the hair on the green tone, and it will pick up some of the 2B that's gone down. So now even, I'm just going to try, but I've found another clean piece, just folded it over. So I'm just gently feathering the tone that I've just put down. And it's just smoothing out some of the lines, very gently. Again, I can just pull some of the tone over Billie's lips, again just from the edge round her eyes. So yeah, but again, that was really gentle, and you can barely see any colour on any graphite on the actual kitchen roll. Now after I had my drink, I did wash my hands before I came back to work, because I don't want to get grease spots. Now again, I'm now coming into the drawing, and where the hair comes over, I'm using the side again, and I'm bringing that extra shadow in. And again, down where the hair comes over on this side. Now I'm going to increase the tone down under the left eyebrow on her eye socket and underneath the left eye there, and down by the side of her nose and the side of her eye. We've got the edge of the tone, the edge of her nose, providing us with the shadow that's coming down, and it goes over her eyeball, and it does get darker, but again we're just putting these kind of mid-tones in now. Right down the side of her cheek, down the side of her mouth. Got this mid-tone. You can see I'm holding my pencil, my hand is not resting on the paper, so I'm actually drawing from my shoulder, not my wrist, because I want to fill in tonal areas. So I'm looking, and you've got the shadow coming underneath the chin, right down the edge. And then up the side of her chin, and you can see how the curve of her skin around the jawline, you've got that tone coming around, and it is darker right underneath, but I now want the dark tone. You can see the shadow line coming off, and then it comes down the side of her top lip here from underneath the nose. And you've got a straight cast shadow there. So I'm just filling it in, and it's much darker right underneath the nose. I'm just filling it in gently. Again, up the side of her head. And there you can see form, actually, three-dimensional form starting to take shape as you're increasing the tone depth of your shading. And under the eye, the top eyelid is creating a shadow cast across there. And the bottom of the eyeball is quite the same tone as the skin around here. So now I'm really pressing on lightly, but all this will make sense when you put the hair in, when you put the dark in. Now we want the top of the shadow cast of the centre part of the top lip. And then side of a nose, and I do this first to actually just put some tone in, so that when the hair and the shirt does go in, it will then show you how much darker you've got to go in certain areas. So now I'm going back under the left eye socket, darkening that down. And we've got a really dark shadow right in the corner being cast by that top lid as well. So now we want to just increase a little bit of shadow underneath hair that's coming down the side of her face, and then underneath the neck. Again, this is still the 2H pencil. The chin casting the shadow underneath the neck. So I'm just filling it in, going that little bit darker, right the way to over the hair, and increasing it, going up. And these are just very, very, very simple midtones. So now again, I'm just folding up a piece of the kitchen roll to a clean spot and going over all the bits that we've just done, and it just smooths out a little bit. And you don't have to do that, you can just leave the cross hatching of your pencil showing. And if you want to be super hyper real, you've got to do that and take your time and take hours and hours and hours and days and days and days. And that's how they do those very hyper real drawings. It just takes a long time shading using the different grades. So now I'm going to use the 2H again. We're getting this bit down here, we're getting to the kind of limit of the tone. And so I'm kind of following the shape of the lines on a lips and just filling that in. And then it's a bit lighter. There's a shadow caused by the top lip, and then we've got a highlight going all the way across there. So I'm just following the kind of lines of the creases of the lips. And then it's a bit darker down this edge. But now we've got a little bit of tone in. So now I'm going to come back in and use the 2B pencil. I'm just going to sharpen it. Just get a sharper point on. I am now, like we had the length of that, you can see that that's about half the size. So I'm going to use this pencil holder now as well. And we're really going to start detailing up Billie's eyes. So we're going to start with a left eye, and we've got to increase the dark of a top eyelid, kind of light mascara line going right the way down, and then we want just a little shadow into that corner, and that goes right to the edge. You can see the curve of her eyeball leaving this beautiful wide line and the top of the lower eyelid. And then we can put the edge on, curve that around. We want the shadow from tear duct corner, and that goes right up to the eye. Now again, I'm just darkening that. The crease right in the corner of her upper eyelid goes up over, then curves down off to the edge. We've got a bit more shadow going off to the edge. A couple of little faint crease lines in there. Now we want Billie's left eyebrow. So here we can build that dark up underneath. And I'm drawing the lines in the kind of direction, the same direction of her eyebrows are growing in, and that's how you make them look more natural. So you've put that mid-tone down underneath, and it just helps to give that definition and realistic look just by following the same direction as the eye. So now we want the edge of her head going up. We've got that fantastic shape of her eyebrow where it goes into the dark of her hair, and then it just kicks and curves down. Her eye socket does to above the fold, and then underneath comes down and a cheek line comes out. So now we want this shadow coming down underneath that kicks back up. Bit of shadow underneath where the lower eyelashes are. And again, we can increase and build that up in the corner. So now we want to really darken all of that down. So I'm filling the tone in with the 2B, going right down into the corner. We've got this brilliant highlight here, so we're not going to go over that as much, but you can see the dark over the top of her eyelid right down into that corner, and it's darker in the corner and where the fold is of her upper eyelid over the crease line, and then going up to her eyebrow. You got a kind of reflected highlight here, so just let that tone be a little bit lighter, and you got the reflected highlight caused by the highlight on her upper eyelid hitting there and then reflecting on there. So now we want to put in her eyelashes. I'm turning the pencil so I get a nice crisp sharp line. And remember, I've left that little highlight piece there. And the edge of her iris is quite dark. And then we've got the shadow caused by the upper eyelid, making that quite dark. But then we've got the little flecks of her iris. But you've got this lovely highlighted bit round here, so you can just leave that very distinctive eyes. Just a little bit of shadow around the pupil. Now I'm going to get my 4B, just sharpen it to a nice fine point because this is much blacker. Remember, the B stands for black, so I'm really darkening the pupil down and that shadow line of her upper eyelid. And the edge of her iris. So there you can see that eye is just starting to really come alive. Now back to the 2B, we can bring that tone around, again just increase that a little bit down the side of her nose. So now I'm going to actually use my smudging tool. Again, you can use kitchen roll, but this is such a delicate, you can use a paintbrush, all kinds of thing. You know, soft items like this, like you can get these smudging tools from art stores, but you use them in exactly the same way as you use your pencil for drawing. And it picks up and you can just push the graphite around a little bit. So now I'm increasing the tone around the side of her head, caused by the shadow caused by her hair, and again underneath her eyes. And these are just such great versatile tools, but you can use a brush to smooth out, a little soft paint brush. And now you can really see the shade softened out and really pushed around with that tool. Now I'm just going to use the putty eraser quickly. I'm taking off the pencil. There's the highlight in her eye, the lower eyelid, and again underneath down to the top of her cheek. I'm just dabbing that off and pulling that up quickly. And then a top eyelid, you've got a nice sharp highlight coming round, and it just goes up a little bit. And you can hear me dappling. Again, I'm putting that reflected highlight in above, and then the edge of her upper eyelid has got a highlight. I'm just touching it nicely and gently, and that's giving us that three-dimensional aspect that we're after, and the shape of her upper eyelid. So again, I'm now just smudging that back down, and we need to add the dark right into the corner, and the shadow on that side. There's one eye looking quite good. Now we're going to do the same with Billie's right eye. So I'm going to darken this up again with the 2B pencil, the edge of her iris, and there's no highlight here, so we can darken the edge of her hair coming down, really darkening underneath that upper eyelid, and then the edge of her iris coming round is quite shadowed. So I'm just carefully building up the layers very, very gently. Now we've got this line, very faint, but of her upper eyelid going up to a tear duct. Now, tear duct is right in the corner. And then we've got a lighter shadow underneath. We've got this lovely line, crease of her upper eyelid above, and then one above that as well, which is actually not a sharp line but quite blurred. So I'm just feathering in, just pressing lightly to build that up. Now again, her eyebrow, just twisting the pencil to keep it sharp. Just going to sharpen it a little bit. And this is where again I would, on my much more detailed drawings, I'd use a mechanical pencil like the 0.3 or the 0.5, because you get a permanent, constant thin line. I just want you to see what you can actually do with normal pencils. Now I'm using these smudging tools as well. A technique that you can use if you haven't got one and all you've got is kitchen roll or tissue is get the end of a brush, not the brush end but the round reverse end if it's a tip, and wrap. I'll show you in a second because I'm just now going to darken that up a little bit. So now I'm just going to use the side of the pencil and we're going to increase the shadow underneath. And you can see it's lighter than it is on this side, just because there's more direct light. But we do want the shadow to be more pronounced underneath her eye socket. So underneath the lower eyelid crease. Now I'm going to put on the eyelashes. And coming off on this side. Now from the tear duct here, we want to increase the shadow but leave as much of a highlight there. And again, we'll pull it out with the putty rubber in a moment. So again, now I'm just going to increase the nostril a little bit, the shadow of the nostril. So I've got an old brush. You can use this end to shade and smooth out some of your pencil lines, but if you haven't got these smudging sticks, these paper smudging sticks that you can get, what you can do is with your kitchen roll, get a clean piece and actually fold and hold around the end, and that way you've actually got a tip. Now I've just touched that with my finger, which means I'll have put grease on that, so I'm going to fold that inside out and start again. So I've just folded that over, and it's the actual brush tip that you can use, and you can hear it pressing on. And that'll give you a much more accurate way of actually shading if you haven't got smudging sticks. So again, that's just a nice, quick, simple little tip. Again, I'm going to go back to using this because this is going to be a long tutorial. But I'm using the same techniques as I've used in all the others, Draco and Snape and Harry Potter and even Dobby and even How to Draw a Toilet Roll. You know, I'm using the same techniques. So I'm just taking my time a little bit because it's such a subtle amount of shading that you've got to do. And I want you to see that it is possible to do it, even quickly, but how you can make it work for you with your drawing with simple materials. So now I've pushed that down, increase the shade right underneath Billie's eye, and we want the reflected highlights in a moment. I'm just wiping that off because all the way down we've got another amount of tone coming right the way down a cheek now. Just pressing on lighter. And now you can see the tone forming down the side of her face, and all I've done is push the pencil down and round. We've got a little bit above her eye, and then in between her eyebrows, tiny little bit of increased shading, and again coming down there, up and across the top. So now we've got the same, just coming from the edge of her eyebrow down, and it's very gently. This is the thing with such flat tone, it can be quite difficult, but just be careful, take your time. That nose, corner of her nose, and right underneath, going up to the edge. And I'm just wiping off the excess. Up the bridge of her nose. Now I'm increasing the shade, the tone, just down the bridge of her nose, and you can see there's a tiny little amount of light left down there. This is just by being careful, but I'm using the smudging tool to do the work for me. Then what would be your kind of crease line coming off your nose down around your mouth, very, very smooth, but just indicate a little bit of shadow, little bit of shade. So now right underneath the nose it's much darker, and we've got that crease in the centre of the top part of the mouth. A little bit lighter on that side, right over the top of the lip. You've got a highlight, but you've got a little bit of slightly darker shade coming down to the corner of the mouth, little bit of shadow, folds up over the top, going up to the edge of the mouth. Now it's very dark coming down off the side of her nose, and we'll have to darken that down with pencil presently. And then we want the shadow going up the side of her face, just slightly increasing, and then we want off the side of her mouth, coming right down to her chin. And again, I'm just increasing the tone quickly underneath the lips. Again, the top lip, we can now, and I'm following the same lines, push that tone up, and the same on the bottom. Just going to wipe that clean a little, and I'm leaving some lighter parts there. Now right underneath, we've got the crease coming from underneath the bottom lip, and that comes off to the side. We can build the shadow out. We've got a highlight here on the corner of the bottom lip. The shadow comes all the way over to a right lower jawline, and then you've got the highlight on the chin just standing out there. Now I've used this quickly to do that, but you can build that up slowly with tone with a 2H pencil and a HB if you so wish. So now I've lost my 2B pencil. Where's that gone? Absolutely no idea. Yeah, that's the one. That's right, I put it in the wrong holder. See, these holders, I actually have them for different pencils and I write on. I'd actually put it in the 4B, which is why I was actually looking at the mark I'd made on my holder, not the actual pencil. So now I am increasing the shadow on the edge of the lip and the crease between the top lip and the bottom lip. Again, I'm gently putting on, I'm not using a sharp point. And you can leave it just that little bit blurred, and that comes right the way up to the corner. And you can just feather the edge. And it looks more natural. So now increasing that shadow right across the top lip. Right on the corner, coming down the side of a top lip to the corner of a mouth. Now we need to increase the shadow caused by ellipse down to the side of a jawline. Underneath the shadow, underneath the bottom lip. Round the jaw. Now just crisp up the edge of that lip. Again, I'm now indicating just some of the lines going up of the creases in Billie's actual lips. And I just keep looking at the reference just to make sure that I'm adding the tone where I want it to go. Corner of the mouth. And the bottom lip is actually really light. Now at the moment we're doing this, and because we don't have the actual darken of a hair and a shirt, you're not seeing it in its true light and form. But that'll all come together when you actually put in the dark in all of her shirt and her actual hair. But again, I'm just quickly, again, following the lines, giving definition to Billie's lips, more detail, more form and more shape. And even though the dark looks quite dark there, when we actually put the dark in here, it will really make everything come together quite nicely. So now, off the underneath of this nose, we've got shadow that's very dark right underneath. And it kind of comes down about a centimetre. And we can increase the tone, just build it up carefully and gently and slowly. Now, I was asked about doing a hyper-realistic tutorial, but that would be like 8 hours a day for 5 days solid, if not longer. And I'm taking my time on this just to show you that you can do it, but I'm still trying to go as quick as I can. Got a slightly darker tone just down the edge, but leave a little bit of highlight showing there as well. So again, I need to increase, just put some definition back, and I'm twisting the pencil of the eyelashes on Billie's lower eyelid. That's looking pretty good. So again, I'm increasing the tone, just using the pencil. Now I'm going to get the smudging stick and gently soften off those edges underneath the nose, underneath the nostril, coming round and up. So now we can just build that tone up around the bottom of the nose a little bit above the nostril. And then that, you can hear it on the paper, and you really are building slow. And this is the problem with full frontal light. It's very difficult. Now, I do say that this is for beginners. I am showing you very basic techniques, and to teach you not to be afraid to have a go. Because it's just a case of taking your time, being careful, being gentle. And as I've said before in previous tutorials, it's easier to add tone than it is to take it away. So now I'm going to soften off that line underneath a jaw, the edge of a jawline going down, because it's not as crisp. Again, you can see it's already looking better being softer. Just take a little bit of the graphite off, soften this down around her lip, and then we want the actual corner, and then underneath that nose. So now I'm going to use 2B pencil. I'm going to quickly shade in the tone, because the 2H was just too light to actually fill that area in. So I can push that tone down, and I'm also just pushing it over some of the necklace. Again, just filling in some bits, because you can see that the shade is cast over some of it by Billie's face, the light going down that way, casting the shadow over. Now I'm just pushing that tone around underneath the hair, just clean it off a little bit. Now I'm kind of following the direction and shape of Billie's neck, going around, just pushing the lines around. Again, I just want my pencil. And I'm increasing the tone now on a jawline and just underneath, but I'm gently feathering it so that I get the soft line and the soft edge that I actually want. Rather than the crisp line that I drew at first. So now just gently building the tone right underneath that jawline. Pressing on a little bit harder. So there we have that good diagonal shadow going up. Now I'm just indicating the directional lines again around the neck, the skin forms very gently. I'm just dappling because, and we'll probably pull them out a little bit more later as well, you've got some reflected highlights caused by the different pieces and shapes of metal on Billie's chains around her neck. If you just dapple it, that's quite nice and pretty good. Just a very, very simple little way, using the putty rubber again as a drawing tool. So now I'm just going to pull up the highlight on the top of Billie's chin, on a lower lip, on a top lip, the edge of that top lip, underneath where the right nostril joins the side of her face, and then the highlights up the centre. Now we've got the highlights on and the reflected highlights on her upper eyelids and the creases, and then right in the corner. So a tear duct, skin next to the tear duct, and then the folds. And then finally, just dapple some highlights on the cheek, and then the centre of her forehead. So there we've got all of the tone in Billie's face, and we're going to now put all the dark in around the outside next, and that will then really pull together the detail in Billie's face and quickly do these chains. So now we're going to come in with a 4B pencil, and we're going to fill in. And I'm using the side of the pencil, and we're going to be careful when we're close to the face to not go over the light parts that we've already done. So here you can see we've got some dark lines coming up into the colour toned area of Billie's hair, where she's got that fantastic green. And we've got this flash of it just coming out here, but we've got the dark, got a triangle there, dark just coming down, and then we've got that V coming up. Now here we've got coming down the side of Billie's cheek. Need to be careful. I'm just filling that tone in because it's in shadow. But we want to come down carefully. So you've got this fantastic near straight line coming down to just past it, runs parallel down with the lip, nearly parallel down with the top lip, this angle that you've got here, and then it kicks in and then just bends out again and goes round Billy's chin down at the bottom here, just following that curve around. So I've gone very carefully so as I've not gone over Billy's face. Now I'm filling in around those chains. But you can tell that we've got Billy's hair coming down over his shoulder. So do your lines in the way that Billy's hair is going, and that just makes it more natural. Even though we're going for a very, very dark mass area, you still do it in the direction of the way that the hair actually goes. Now I'm also turning the pencil as I do each kind of couple of lines, and that just helps to keep a kind of sharp edge as I'm putting this dark mass down. So now this incredible dark patch. Dark patch there. I'm going up and down, but I'm going in the direction of her hair, so it just becomes more natural. Again, up here now we've got, I'm pressing on softer so that I get the diffused edge of the shadow and the hair. And you've got the roots just starting to show out. And we've got that dark, little dark line there, but we can then just increase the shadow there. Straight away you're starting to see the Billie Eilish that we all know, with the dark mass of hair framing her lovely pale face. And that is absolutely fantastic. So again, just these wisps of hair coming off the back, the side around the back of her hair, coming down to his shoulder. So now I'm going to sharpen this just so as I've got more of a side. Here you can see we've got this dark. We do have an area of dark all the way down, but I'm going to use the side of the pencil. I'm not resting my hand on the paper. To filter in, and it's kind of, rather than like here, this section here, rather than every hair strand being perfectly visible, you can use the tone of the pencil to indicate large groups of hair, and then you go back in afterwards with a sharper pencil and a pencil tip. And we've got this flash of Billy's green there, and you indicate some lines, and that will give the form of the hair. But even putting this broad shading in with a 4B pencil, I'm still going backwards and forwards, but following the shape and the direction of Billy's hair, just to make it more natural. Now again, I'm just going to get the small piece of paper, I'm going to press on to stop me from dislodging the paper. So now I'm really building this lighter tone, kind of lighter to mid-tone on Billy's hair. Now coming up to the toned part at the top. And you can see where the tone is above that eyebrow, so you can just indicate and then chop off the bottom, and then you know you're not going to come down too far. And the same at this back part. You just indicate with the pencil where that lighter tone in Billie's hair starts. Now I've just filled that in really quick, and that's a kind of lighter to mid-tone. I'm now filling in just more and more. I'm going to get my kitchen roll, just going to fold it to a corner because this is a big wide area, and I can push and smudge this down, again following the direction of the hair as if you're brushing it. Now I need to bring Billie's hair all the way down. And we can fill, because it comes right the way down on this side. So now I'm pushing that tone around. And where it's kind of gone over, just lifting that off quickly with the putty rubber. Now you can see above her eyebrow, I've pulled this to a fine point. I'm just, again, direction of the hair, and you can see there's a kind of highlight going up all the way across there. So I'm just indicating quickly. While I've got this lighter tone, you won't go back. It's not solid white highlights. You won't get back to absolute bare paper because you've really just pushed the graphite into the paper. But you can indicate where these highlights are. And it'll help when you put the darks and then the lights. Now again, already you're seeing Billie's hair looks like it's got shape and form, and it's creasing around her ears and her cheek and down the side of her head. Again, these are really, really simple techniques, but because of the lightness of Billie's face and the direction of the light, that's why I took my time, just so that you can see. I mean, again, this is going to be like a 3 to 3.5 hour video, you know, most of 2 to 2.5 hours. But this was, even though it's a little bit more complex, a beginner can do it if you take your time. You know, this is the whole thing where I say I am demystifying drawing. If you take your time, you can achieve the same results, but it just takes practice, and you may have to do the drawing over and over and over. Now again, another pop star who I may end up doing again is Kylie Minogue. Now when I was 17, 18, it was Whitney Houston and Kylie Minogue from Neighbours and people like that, and I did their portraits, copied their album covers. That's what you can do. You can use and utilise the images of the people that you like, the musicians and the film stars, but you will have to do them over and over and over again. And I know portrait artists sometimes do repeat studies of subjects that they are painting just to get a feel for and an idea. I mean, there's one gentleman, he died last year I think, Everett Raymond Kinsler, an American portrait artist, and he did multiple studies of presidents and senators and businessmen and women, and just to get what he was after, the right idea of what he was after for the portraits that he wanted to do of them. So again, I've got the 4B and I'm just pulling some tone down now using the 4B into the hair on the top, but then going back in with the putty rubber. Now again, this is quite loose and impressionistic, But if you want it hyper realistic, you just take your time and enjoy it. But again, already you can see that's looking really, really good. So now I'm using the side of the 4B, and we're coming to the dark part next to Billie's right eye. And we can see that that comes all the way down. I'm twisting the pencil, and we've got this dark patch of shadow here. We've got a good line coming down from underneath where that green tone comes down in the coloured part of her hair. So now I want that dark. We've got a little V of shade there, and then it just starts to cascade together around a jawline. And we can, oh, that started to push. Again, this is what I'm saying. You end up, in fact, I am going to have to get some more tape. Where's my masking tape? Right. Because of the pressure of the dark that I'm putting on, my masking tape gave up. So I am going to really stick that one on and that one on. Let's sharpen the pencil while I do that. Give me a bit more of the 4B to use. Now again, you can use 8B. That's blacker, it's softer, it will go down much faster. But I've done most of my tutorials using a 2B and a 4B. So here we've got this fantastic, from here we've got a lovely dark shape coming right the way down. And you can see already that it's really framing Billie's face. And it's looking really, really good. Again, you can take a lot more time on the hair. So I'm pressing on really dark. And there are some, yeah, I'm just putting some squiggles down underneath. And that's the chains that are coming up from there. I'm literally just putting squiggles and extending some lines, and then draw over the top of them, and it really does look and gives the impression of the hair over the necklaces. Now I am really thankful for my electric pencil sharpener. It's really good. Here we go again. But I'm only using this for the speed so that I can just keep working quickly on these videos for you. Though I can remember years ago I read a book, it was called The Illustrator's Bible. This is BC, before cyberspace, before computers. Many, many moons ago we had things called libraries. And on my way back to the bus station to catch the bus home from art college, I would pop in the library and look in the art section and design section and see what they got. And there was one book called The Illustrator's Bible. There's a few with that title, but this particular one, so this was back in 1986, 87, 88 time, when I was at my art college after high school, not university. And the gentleman there, I can remember reading him saying about having an electric pencil sharpener, and he just did some basic maths. And he said if it took you 20 seconds to sharpen your pencil, as opposed to 3 seconds like that without any effort, and you had to sharpen your pencil, say it was 20 seconds, you had to sharpen your pencil 3 times, that's 1 minute. 9 times, that's 3 minutes. 18 times, that's 6 minutes, and on and on and on. And he worked out that you would spend an absolutely phenomenal amount of your work time sharpening your pencil. So he said, get an electric pencil sharpener if it's your job. And it does save a vast amount of time. And that's why I've got one, because it means I can just concentrate on doing the drawing for you guys. Again, I'm just constantly turning the pencil, and you get to see the art come alive quicker. That's fantastic. So now I'm darkening down those parts in Billie's hair, coming up to the green highlighted part. This has been absolutely fantastic. I hope you're enjoying this, because like I say, this quick bit at the end, all of a sudden it kind of comes together. And it really does look the part. So I'm really sharpening and twisting the pencil. Oh, right. So I've just flown over Billie's hair, but fortunately it was one little line off her hair over her face. But there are a few straggly hairs coming down. So we can just increase them and bring a few more coming down. And they come down over her cheek. So I'm twisting and using the point and filling in, and that's giving me all the indication of the lines of Billie's hair. So again, now we've got another darker patch of tone in the curve of Billie's hair coming up. As the head curves over the top, and we've got, so there you can see that slight highlight and the slight dark underneath. And as I keep on saying, the longer you take, the more detailed you can actually make it. But I'm going for very expressionistic. Now again, I've put all of that down, and I'm now going to smudge gently, and it'll fill in any of the white bits that are kind of showing through. Again, it just touches, the graphite does, because it picks up the pencil as you're smudging it, and it just went off the edge. So again, I'm just gently picking up the highlights on Billie's hair. And because I've put so much pencil down and actually smudged it in so much, you won't go back to the pencil, but you will give an indication of a little highlight. So that's looking pretty good. So here on this side we've got a very strong highlight, but now I'm going to use the smudging tool and really push this around, again following the direction of the hair, so I can really push in the darks, and you can tell I'm really pushing in and increasing that darker tone over Billie's eye there. So I'm now going to really press on with the pencil. Again, I'm twisting it, and I really like the burnished tone, the shimmer and the sheen that you get. Some people don't, they just want it really flat and smooth, but I love pressing the pencil into the paper and feeling it scratch and score. And it was because I used to draw from life a lot, and I loved the immediacy of the pencil. So it's just personal taste. So there, now we want that dark going up a little bit higher. Coming around the back. Now I'm just pushing that tone around again. And filling in any of the white gaps to push the tone. So now we really want just to bring a little bit of dark down underneath Billie's neck and jawline. And we can, I mean, you can see how dirty that is. That's just by, again, pushing it in, but I'm just cleaning off some. And now I'm using the tone that's on the smudging tool to indicate some of the lines in Billie's green bits. Again, the same on this side from the parting, coming down and on that centre part. Again, that impressionistic smudging just gives it really nice tone. And pushing it up and to the side of her hair. And that's looking pretty good. I hope you're enjoying this. This is fantastic. So now we are bringing the highlights on the front. And that light down the side going right up to the top. Now I want my 2H pencil. There we go, because this is sharp and tough. And you can hear it scratching. And again, I am twisting the pencil, keeping it to the sharpest edge. Though with a 2H, it'd take a fair bit to make it go blunt. 6H, even more. You could use a 6H pencil for DIY as a chisel, it's that tough. But that's the thing with the different grades of pencil. You utilise them as tools. Because that's what they are. They are tools in your equipment case for drawing. So here over this tone I am going up into, so you've got the darker going into the lighter, and the 2H as you go up, and then you can hear it flicking off. It's giving me a little bit more definition in Billie's hair. So now I'm coming from the top down, not resting my hand on the paper, I'm using my shoulder as the pivot point. And now we want from that dark, and we want coming down. So again, from Billie's parting, going off to the edge, and then coming up out of the dark into the lighter parts, twisting the pencil, it's giving me the definition of the lines. Following the shape. Just wiggling there, some little bits, and that needs to come down. So now I want my 2B, and we've got, just indicate some darker parts under the roots of Billie's hair. Again, the same there, coming down the side. I'm twisting for the wispy bits that are coming off front, the back and the sides. And so we want just some, with the 2H pencil, nice, just little wispy lines coming down. Again, on this one, I'm now just feathering in where the hair joins. So now I want a sharp point on my 4B. And it's allowing me to quickly add in some darker, thinner lines. Again, keep twisting it. And I'm looking at the shapes created by the green tone that's bleached out over Billie's hair, just slightly indicating going all the way up. Now we want a little bit of darker tone there. Now again, on this side we can build that slight darker detail up. So got that darker line on the outside. And in that part underneath the hair. So now, and you can just keep going round and round and round on the hair. Loads. So I've got a little black dot. There we go, just picked it off using the putty rubber. I'm using the 4B to increase the shadow under the nose. Now on Billie's eyebrow, just gently. And that's all you need to do, it's just very simple. To gently increase the tone slightly. I'm pressing on very, very lightly. So here we've got it's much darker underneath the corner of her eye, coming down her eyeball. The side of her cheek, underneath the lower eyelid, right in the corner. And that just makes all the difference. So now I'm just increasing the tone generally over all of her eyebrow and her eye socket. To make it that little bit darker. Again, this is the 4B and I am very gently, B for black, it's a much softer pencil. I'm kind of softening out the edge where the edge of her eye socket with the hair is. Then right underneath again down there, and that's looking pretty good. So now I'm using the side of the 4B pencil and I am very loosely filling in Billie's shirt top. Now I'm coming right up to the chains, but I'm going to quickly go down the side of the chain, just carefully. Again, my hand is not resting on the paper, and if you're not confident about doing this, just get some paper and do this for fun. Just shading in. Draw a square or a circle or a rectangle and shade it in quickly. To see and develop your techniques of actually shading quick. Large dark area. So now that's kind of getting there, so I'm just going over again, darkening it down, just filling a mass of area in. Again, on this side, right shoulder, I'm just filling down, filling the space and the shape. Now again, you need to use a piece of paper to rest your hand on when you're working on this area that we will be in a moment. Otherwise you'll just get loads of pencil on your hand and you'll end up smudging your drawing. So just be very careful. Now I've pushed that pencil into enough of a tone and into Billie's hair so it all just kind of blends in. Now again, the same on this side. We need the shadow coming off underneath Billie's hair, and I'm just blending it over. Now we've got some, you can see some kind of shadow creases in the fabric. I'm just now increasing the tone again, really pressing on quickly and hard, just to fill that area in, very impressionistically, very, very quickly. Again, I can now darken underneath Billie's jawline into her hair. And there you have the really nice dark area. Again, this patch next to her eye. Now, we've got this area pretty much left to do. And what we're going to do is quickly fill in the dark areas. Now again, because you're going to be looking at Billie's eyes and her face, we can be a little bit impressionistic, a little bit looser about it. So I'm squinting my eyes and looking for the dark patches. And we've got the really nice darks in between the links, so I'm just putting some really dark shapes in. Shadow off the bottom of that chain, a as it kind of goes down. Again, the same off these oval links. At the moment I've used nearly half of a 4B pencil because there's so much dark area, and this is the thing with a soft pencil, it disappears down very quickly. So here we've got just some dark shadow bits. We want some very dark black underneath parts where the links, in between the links of the chains, actually meeting right underneath Billie's chin. I'm not going to sharpen the pencil again because this bit right underneath the chin, I don't want to kind of blodge over Billie's chin. So now I'm just going to take that little bit off, fill that in again, and there's my smudging tool. That's the edge of her chin down there. So now I'm carefully, right underneath where her chin is, we've got a lot of chains and a lot of shadow. I'm going to try and do this really quick so you can see how impressionistic it is. So these ovals that we put in first, where the links are, you just want a nice circle of dark shape. So on this side it's a C, on that side it's the front of a D, and so on, all the way around. In between these links, chains, we've got the nice black. So follow the shape of that smile, a kind of banana in between those links, and you've just got the shirt underneath. So fill that in quickly, and then these links, the diagonals, just put a kind of black line down, and then another one on the opposite side going down, and then you've got a nice dark line. You can just kind of squiggle and scratch, and it all helps on the impressionistic nature. Again, the top one right next to the neck, just be careful, crease the tone a little bit. And then links going underneath the hair. We've got some slightly darker bits. Now again, the squares on this one, just put some darker lines down, and the same, just a few. Now again, we actually did miss a bit of detail of chains down here, but we can just add that in now. So I've filled in that dark shape there. You've got the teeth, so it's just little pyramids coming up over the Billie, little inverted like kind of mountains. And then we've got total dark where this hair comes down, got the dark of a shirt underneath. And round the Billie pendant, coming right the way underneath the bottom of the heart, up to that figure pendant, and then we've got all this area here is filled in black. So you can see already that's starting to look like a lot of chains around Billie's neck. And this is the thing with Impressionism. Impressionism was the kind of last great art movement, and it was early 20th century. A load of French guys, Claude Monet, Manet, Cézanne, and many others. Toulouse-Lautrec, Vincent van Gogh. He was Dutch, I think, off the top of my head, while I'm thinking and filling in. But they went out and painted from life, but they used bold brush strokes to give an impression, hence the term impressionistic. Beautiful use of colour, absolutely stunning, brilliant works of art. So definitely worth checking out. But when you're giving an impression of something, you're making people look. So you're looking at Billie's eyes, and all of this lot looks like the chains around her neck. And because you put the shapes in earlier, and that was what took the time, these chains took up an absolute half an hour really. So it was another half an hour to actually do these chains. Just get the outlines down, and then now we've got another half an hour just kind of filling in the area around them. So here I'm just using the side to fill this in as quickly as I can. That's a nice dark area, and you can see that's really given us all the shape and definition that we actually need. Now I've left a load of the paper bare around this, and what we're going to do to create the metal, because metal reflects what's around it like a mirror, and so just indicate some hair over those as we go up there. And so you want to put some dark lines on, put some midtones, and also leave some highlights, because metal has a nice reflected highlight. So we've got here just dark lines, and then some diagonal links, and then right at the bottom we want to fill in around these shapes. So there you can see we've got an absolute load of Billie's chains in, and now it's a case of just indicating highlights and shadows and darks. So we've got to put in some midtones and some defining lines, and you can just put some squiggles on all the way around. So again, I'm now going to get my 2B pencil, because it's got a slightly sharper point, and that'll allow me to add some lines on. But if I use the side, I can fill in some of these areas, and I'm just squiggling, but I'm leaving some highlighted parts. So that's kind of under the shadow. This area here is well lit, but we've got Billie, so we need to increase a dark line around the edges of some of the letters. The links above. Then we've got the I, the E, and then we've got this figure underneath. So I'm just squiggling in now. Just squiggled in a little bit on that figure. We've got quite a dark line underneath that B. Little bit there. But again, things like this, you can squiggle as much or as little as you want to give the impression of the reflected highlights on the metal. So again, in the shadow area up here, you want it to be a little bit darker. And then it comes out into the light. So these links have got a very dark underneath, but you don't fill in too much on the top, so that it's brighter here than it is here. Again, right up in underneath Billie's chin, coming down, and then we can just squiggle. So we need to just squiggle down the edges. Now these circular ones are very interesting, the little ellipse ones. So again, just put some dark squiggles in the centerpieces, some mid-tones. Again, the big chunky links that are coming down here. But this is the joy of drawing. You can be as detailed or as loose as you want. Like I say, I'm being quite loose and impressionistic on this, to fill this in just to give an impression, because you should be looking at Billie's face. If I was spending 8 hours just on these chains, I would make sure that they all looked absolutely spot on. But you've got to admit that they look like metal, that they are standing out and showing up and looking rather spectacular. So there's the heart. So now I'm going to go to the 2H. No, that's a 2B. Where's my 2H? There's my 2H. Again, putting some 2H squiggles on just gives me some extra tone. Oh, I need some darks down here. I'll put them on in a second. That's in shadow. That's in shadow. So this is the 4B. Just darkening that down. And now I'm going to come back in with my putty eraser, and it really does just lift off. If you just dab around, you'll lift off and reveal where you've just put some squiggles over some much brighter parts, and it makes it look much more metallic. Again, back in with 2B. And you could use the smudging tool, that'll give you nice grey tones. But it's just literally up to you how much detail and fiddling you actually want to put in. So even in the shadow there's reflected highlights there on Billie's neck. So now we are looking pretty good. Highlight on a lip, right on the corner point of her nose, and we want right in the corner of her eye. And I'm just picking up these highlights over her right eyebrow. Now I'm just using the 2B, darkening down gently, shadow down the side of her nose. And then right in the creases in her eye, her eyebrow going under her hair a little bit. Now I'm just filling in those bits, coming down, and we've got some hairs coming down over her cheek, twisting the lines. Hairs coming over the chains and going up to the side of the jawline, increasing that shadow of the jawline, side of her cheek, the shadow on the side of her nose. And these are things you can just keep on tweaking and enjoying your drawing. But there comes a point where you say, yeah, that's good enough, I'm happy with that. And I think that that's pretty good. It's been a long lesson, but there's been lots of detail in getting all of these chains down, and I hope that you've enjoyed the challenge of actually doing this. But do enjoy it. Please do like and subscribe for future drawings. I'm just now going to put on my signature. Billie 2020. But do please like and subscribe. Click the bell for more updates, because I am going to be doing a lot more how to draw lessons. Like I say, this has been great to do because it shows you that there are simple techniques that you can use to actually draw a really good full portrait very quickly. Anyway, enjoy your time drawing, and I'll see you in the next video. Ta-da.